new to management, you probably have one huge fear that you'll fail. You probably became a manager because you excelled at your last position, so you feel confident in your technical skills and your ability to handle familiar problems. But managing people brings a whole new set of challenges. People can be unpredictable, and if you're not properly equipped, the threat of failure is very real. I want to provide you a roadmap to make your transition into people leadership easier and more exciting for you. I want you to be able to enjoy your promotion and your new career path. I'm Kirsten Blakemore. I'm a group facilitator, success coach, and consultant. And I've helped thousands of people and organizations overcome these exact challenges, conflicts, and obstacles. My expertise is moving people from overwhelmed to excited. In this course, you'll learn how to be a heart-forward manager who leads with compassion, curiosity, and integrity. You'll also get specific tips on how to lead teams remotely and how to create a cohesive and open team culture. I'll walk you through how to give difficult feedback and how to manage tough conversations. Finally, you'll learn how to manage your time as a leader and how to manage your team to ensure their success in your own. This course is a great opportunity to get prepared to flourish in your position as a new manager. If you're ready, let's go. If I had told you 10 years ago to lead with your heart, you'd probably think I'm a big softie and maybe incapable of being a tough and resilient leader. But business is changing and people are open to new styles of leadership. Being a leader through challenging times requires more than grit. You have to be a leader that others can follow. My friend Drew Golden is a successful entrepreneur and CEO, and he's a heart-forward leader. In fact, he's the one who trademarked the term. Many times people hear heart and leader and think soft, but this couldn't be further from the truth. In Drew's words, a heart-forward approach is a commitment to leading from the heart without ego. So I want you to be a heart-forward leader. And in this lesson, I want to share with you what it looks like to be that kind of heart-forward leader that others can follow. The first tenet is don't assume. Get curious. You know what they say about assuming? Well, we quickly fill in the gaps of missing information daily. In order to avoid being wrong, don't assume. Instead, ask questions with a curious mindset. With this approach, you will apologize less and understand more. Next, be tough on the issues, not the people. When your employees have made mistakes, even major failures, and you need to correct them, they can easily feel like it's a personal affront. They feel hurt and left either responding by attacking or withdrawing, and neither are effective in learning from the mistake and moving on. It's so much easier to accept a mistake, even a failure, if you know it's about achieving the successful result and not about you. Another tenet of heart-forward leadership is care and self-awareness. Too many people react instead of respond. You hear something and it triggers you and you blow up and you get angry. Instead, be thoughtful and understand that your behavior will create an impact on others. What do you want that impact to be? Next, stand in your integrity. Integrity begins at the command center: thoughts, intentions, feelings, actions. If integrity is at the center and you hold it as a priority, a guiding principle, others will trust you. They will see you are a person of integrity and don't sway based on the way the wind blows. This will go a long way in leading people. Finally, the last tenet of a heart-forward leader is to make sure that your win will be a win for all. When you approach challenges and disagreements with a win-win approach, you tell people nonverbally their voice matters. This is critical to inclusive leadership. The key to honing all of these leadership skills is self-awareness. So take these 3 steps to start building your muscle as a heart-forward leader. First, look within before looking outside of yourself. Recognize your feelings. Next, unpack those feelings. If you're angry, resentful, fearful, ask yourself why. Answer, I am angry because I ... Consider what your intentions are versus what your actions are. Finally, do not blame others for how you feel. Own your feelings and look at how their actions impacted your feelings. When you can shift your leadership approach to a heart-forward approach, you'll start to see a shift in your team, a shift in the organization, and ultimately a shift in yourself. A while back, I was working in an organization. Each of the members on my team were asked to make a presentation. I had a new leader who watched each member of my team with an eagerness to see their work. When it came to my turn, he walked out of the room, not to return. I was livid. All kinds of assumptions came to mind. I thought because I was the only woman in the room, maybe he didn't find my work credible, or maybe he was mad at me for something. Maybe he was passive aggressive. I didn't know, but the more I thought about it, the more upset I was. I realized I was winding myself up and decided to just ask him why he left. The next morning, I asked him directly, what was up? He said, I'm so glad you asked. I had an emergency I had to deal with and leave quickly. It was this urgent matter, but I was so disappointed because I really wanted to see your presentation. I could have assumed and stayed mad, but it would have been inappropriate because I would have been wrong. In this lesson, I'm going to share with you how to get curious instead of making assumptions in the moment. One tool to use is a tool that I created for my first book called Stop, Drop, and Roll. This is helpful when you're getting heated as a result of an assumption you're making in the moment. First, stop when you start to react negatively in a situation. Check in with your feelings. What's your initial reaction? Then drop the assumptions. In other words, drop the story that you're making up as to why the person did what they did. Finally, roll with a question instead. Have a series of questions at the ready in case you find yourself in a situation by surprise. Instead, respond with one of these questions so you're not making an assumption, but instead asking a question. What was your motivation for the choice you made? Or, why did you make this choice? Help me to understand. Why this? That's interesting. What were you trying to accomplish? Those are just a few questions to have ready, but put them in your words to make them more genuine. Just make sure you're not making your listener defensive, which typically doesn't end well. We fill in missing information all day long as a leader. You're likely pretty good at it. But when it comes to people, it's best to just ask them why they made the decision they did. We are all unique individuals with different experiences, and therefore our thinking is unique as well. Give the person the benefit and respect of asking them what they were thinking before assuming, and even worse, assuming wrong. Some situations can cause a lot of frustration, even anger in the moment. It's easy to direct those feelings towards the person we believe is causing us to feel that way. But as a leader, you want your team to trust you. And directing your anger and frustration on someone else never solves the problem, but can certainly add to it. Allow me to share a recent example. My son was struggling in math. His teacher wasn't very forthcoming with grades or progress online, so we didn't know if he was on target with the content or not understanding at all. My son watched me as I looked again to see if she had posted the grades and saw my reaction when she hadn't. This prompted him to say, "Mom, just yell at her." And I wanted to, but as parents, we're always looking for the teaching moment. I said, "What's the outcome we want to achieve here?" He mentioned that he wanted to see his grades and hoped they would be good. I added I hoped she would become an advocate for him. So I asked, if that was the outcome we desire, would me yelling at her get us there? He knew the answer. After this lesson, you'll be able to shift your mindset so you focus on the results you want to achieve. To do this, take a minute to look at yourself in the moment. Next, think about the outcome you want to achieve in this situation. It could be a meeting outcome, a conversation outcome, or something else. But just keep the outcome in mind. This is mindset. Finally, with the outcome in mind, your problem is less about the person involved and more about achieving the result. So, when you're in a heated experience, inspect the outcome or result you need to achieve, and then ask yourself, is what I'm about to do going to get me that outcome? In my example, it was a teacher, but at work, it could easily be someone who works for you or someone who works above you. The mindset to keep is that it's more important to get it right than to be right. When you can stay even-keeled with your eye on the outcome, you demonstrate that people are more important to you than being right. When the people you are working with feel you have a mindset focused on the result, they'll trust you to be measured when times are tough. Recently, I read an article in the Harvard Business Review. 100% of people in business polled believe they are self-aware. But according to this study, only 15% of them were. That means more than 80% are not self-aware. 2 to 3% were in a category called the aware don't care group. I usually share this statistic in groups and ask people to raise their hands if they feel they're self-aware. Almost every hand goes up. Then I reveal that according to research, only 10 to 15% of people really are self-aware. This statistic is a powerful wake-up call, and most of us have some work to do on improving our own personal awareness. So I want to share with you a method that you can use to be more self-aware in your day-to-day actions with your team and in your mindset. First, look at yourself. We're so quick to judge others and what they're doing and why, so it's time to look inside of yourself first. If you're judging someone else, that simply means you are finding some benefit in judging others. Maybe it's a distraction from your own experience, or maybe it's because you're frustrated with a complicated situation. Whatever the case, as a leader, you are under a spotlight. Your people watch you. So you need to look at yourself and watch you too. Look at your reactions. Are they emotional? Are they rational? What triggers an emotional reaction from you? Do your emotions have a negative effect on others? Next, recognize your feelings. If you're angry, resentful, or fearful, ask yourself why you feel that way, and then get an answer. Acknowledge that your feelings are yours. No one makes you feel anything. People can act in ways that trigger emotions, but it's yours. Finally, don't blame others for how you feel. Too often, we blame others for our own feelings. We cannot control the weather or outside factors, but you do control how you show up in every situation. Those choices you make have created a ripple effect in your life. For example, you may be really angry with somebody, but you respond in kindness. Your choice on how to respond will then determine how someone responds to you, and so on. This is so important to leadership. Leaders that don't own their feelings look to blame others around them for how they feel. This makes working with that type of person unsafe and uncertain. It stresses people out, and they have less energy and focus to work productively, since that energy is spent on wondering whether their leader is going to fly off the handle and make us responsible. In leading groups, the most awkward question I receive is when the employee asks how to deal with an unstable or just plain bad boss. Now, it's not awkward for me, but you can tell other people in the room know who it is or who they are that the question is being asked about, and people get scared. Don't be that bad boss. I've seen leaders who haven't taken a look inside themselves for a while. They lead their meetings through power and control. On the other hand, leaders who are introspective and self-aware tend to have this inner strength because they're not looking outside of themselves to blame, but instead look inside for solutions. Now take a moment and imagine if you lead with your self-awareness. Then imagine if you don't. The choice is yours. As young people, teachers and parents talk about integrity as an important trait of the adults we should aspire to be. But as you grow up, fewer and fewer people are rooted in integrity. It is so easy to be tempted by that easy fix, even if it means sacrificing a little bit to get there. But if you've had a leader with integrity, you'll always